Welcome back to another reaction for Nippon Sangoku, episode 7. Fictional work. Yeah.
大和歴60年春、征夷総帥輪島王が7万の軍勢とともに大和領奥越へと侵攻を開始。その直前、不穏な空気を察した辺境将軍龍門光秀は軍師角康明の助言により福井へと引き返すのであった。一方金沢では連日連夜もてなしを受けていた大和軍将官たち。
Surprising that they don't try to poison them. Also, the whole group was 70k, okay. I wonder, because the last episode they said the Seiji's force split up. However, nonetheless, our captain, commander, whatever you want to call him, he only has like 5k troops. So even if he's willing to go and fight, it is unlikely that he's going to win, unless he can maybe recruit more people.
じゃあ、ついに始まったんすね。
はい、これもすべて長尾殿の義兄により機会を得たものとみな。
お世辞はいいっす。でもそうなると、急ぎ龍門らを金沢に引き込む必要があるっす。
あと。
Ryumon and the others to Kanazawa. Now, this is where the problem is. I'm so bad with the names. Ryumon is the general that decided to pull back our boy. I'm assuming Kanazawa is where they are? Can't really tell. But I'm assuming that is the idea. The idea is, hey, the biggest part is now to get to get Ryumon here as well to make this a success.
総帥からお手紙を預かっております。
Sadly for him.
長尾殿。
The question is this like modern day OnlyFans where someone else wrote the letter but she just signed it?
いや、やる気が出てきたっす。
Okay. Opening. So yeah, maybe Ryumon can gather a bunch of people through all the different forts? Otherwise, I don't know how you... Also, our main character, I assume his main character? It seems like he's also privy to the idea, what may happen, so maybe he's going to drum up some soldiers and go and reinforce Ryumon. But we will have to see. So this is where they split up. So she took some soldiers to go to this castle, and we had a bunch of soldiers for the other castle. This one seems to be like a bloodbath, so...
島総帥、報告申し上げます。鞍軍九頭竜城の攻略が完了したとのことです。
思ったより手こずったか。
大和の将兵が奮闘し、我が軍もかなりの被害が出たそうです。
アテルイは無事か？
多少傷を負ったようですが、大事に至ってないそうです。
念のため休ませておけ。この戦はまだまだ前哨戦。彼抜きではこの先厳しいだろう。
はい。しかし勝山城、大野城も落とし、半日もかからずして奥越を平定できました。
みんなよく頑張ってくれた。
ですがもう一つ、艦長によると龍門らは何を察したか福井へと軍を引き返したそうです。少々予定外の展開になりましたかな。
そうでなくては借りがいがない。やや吉、アテ類が回復次第、我々は九頭竜川を進み、霊北県を目指す。竜を狩るぞ。
Because his name is Ryomon, right? And Ryo is dragon. Okay, I see what you're doing. So she's going to attack him. It does make sense. Because at the moment, if we go with the dragon analogy, it's a young dragon, a fierce young dragon, still beatable, but dangerous. However, if you leave him alone, he may grow up to be a giant fire-breathing dragon. If he is allowed to gather a force of like 50,000 people, he may win the fight. I do wonder how many soldiers they lost. They started with 70,000. How many did they lose? Or better ask, how big is the army now? I'm assuming they lost maybe like 5k, I would say. It did look like they lost a lot. Also, they took over 4 castles, which is quite a bit, or at least 3, right? Maybe he meant the region itself as well. They took over a lot.
奥越の市場はすべて陥落したとのことです。ほんでこっちの被害数は各上将12名の辺境将軍隊属員並びに一般属員や奥越の兵士1000名以上が殉職なされました。詳細はこちらに。平軍司、直ちに福井の兵馬民食料をこの霊北に集めよう。やけどそれではこの霊北以外もぬけの殻となってしまいます。もし西軍に攻められたらまた福井の領土が。そうやって奥越への増援を出し渋った結果が先の戦や。各拠点を各々で守備戦とする保証戦的防衛戦術は領土すら守れへん下策やと身にしみて分かったやろ。全戦力の迅速かつ確実な結集、これが達成されへんことは戦力の相対的優勢を放棄し勝利の可能性を狭めることと同義である。
What? Rapid and certain concentration of all forces, failure to achieve. Okay. So, if I have understood correctly, he's just saying get everyone that we can together, and we are going. It sounds like they want to retreat a bit towards the back, and they just want to take everyone with them. It does make sense that without big reinforcements, they can't defeat the army. So holding down a fort with like 6-7k soldiers is not going to do much, right? So retreat, consolidate, get more people, get a big army that stands a chance, and then maybe get some kind of advantage terrain-wise. And then you may be able to defeat the army.
領土は失っても取り戻すことはできるが、人は失えば二度と生き返ることはない。
I mean, the biggest part is also if you defeat those 70k soldiers, that is going to leave, say, the yellow ones in a very difficult spot. They are most likely not going to be able to defend against an expansion from your side. I still wonder what the third nation is doing right now. This feels like a perfect opportunity to go and invade Seiji.
時間はない。今夜中にも霊北への移動を開始させるように。はっ。
殉職なされた佐藤上将は 人望が厚いと評判やったとか、謹んでお悔やみ申し上げます。
佐藤は酒が好きでな。角とも馬が合うたやろな。
奥越侵攻の規模を考えれば、征夷にも金沢の主力部隊に攻撃を仕掛ける余裕はないでしょう。しかし開戦したことを知らない以上は、彼らは人質に取られたも同然。
そこに私らが福井に引き返したことがどう響くか。
しかし、すでに手は打っております。あとは彼らの働きに任せるのみです。
Their efforts, yeah?
え、マジっす。
マジです。偵察隊によると皇軍率いる龍門は福井に引き返したそうです。
やはり龍門らには感づかれたようですね。
ちと意外なタイミングっすね。でも今更手遅れっす。龍門らが引き返したって情報は菅生らに伝わっているんす。
ご安心ください。大和の伝令兵はすでに始末してあります。
いいね。中軍率いる長峰の動きは今どんな感じっす？
長峰資料は手取川を越えず、手取フィッシュランド跡地にて野営しているとのことです。
龍門は福井、菅生らはそれを知らず、長峰は手取川を越えていない。じゃあ菅生らをやるなら今夜しかないっすね。
やる？いや、お待ちを。輪島疎水は大和の奴らをこの金沢に留めておけと。
それは龍門や核が金沢に入った場合の話っす。龍門らが福井に引き返した今、菅生らを留めとく理由はねえっす。逆にこれ全部菅生らにバレたら俺らの命がヤバいっすよ。この金沢には3万以上の大和兵がいるんすから。だけど菅生らをやれば右郷の衆も当然。今殿次や菅生ら大和の召喚のほとんどを東山の宿屋街に泊まらせてるっす。
I'm so bad with names. So right now we have put up Tonotsugu, Sugo, and most of the Yamato commanders. As in Higashiyama. Okay. So it sounds like, if I follow correctly, they want, or he wants to take care of the commanders of the Yamato army, which makes sense. With them gone, the army is going to be leaderless, and the idea is that then they would be able to route them or whatever. Now, they are still a big army that is dangerous. They are probably also not equipped to handle that many enemies should the fight break out. On the other hand, the question is, how long would they be able to keep them here? Right? Because let's say they keep them here for 3 more days, as example. At some point, they're probably like, hey, okay, we should probably go back. Now, if they could, I'm still obsessed with the river. Maybe they could flood the river. They could just destroy the bridges. This way the enemy army is stranded here while you are repairing the bridge. Right? You could put the bridge destruction on some rebel forces, you know. Someone who's against the new leadership. I just don't know how effective it is, because if they are not able to get rid of all the commanders at the same time, they then have a huge army in their midst that is going to take over the castle really quick. Most likely, depending on which commander survives and how smart they are going to see that this was a trap and they should retreat as quick as possible. Therefore, 30,000 soldiers are coming back and may get in contact with Ryomon, right? So it's a pretty big risk. And the biggest part, it is not what he got told to do. He is not adhering to commands right now.
の宿屋街に泊まらせてるっす。3万余りの大和兵は俺の部下の先導で金沢の各兵舎に向けて移動してる最中。もう一度言うっすけど、スゴーラやるなら今夜しかないっすよ。
いや、しかし
君らがこの戦でやったことってただただ俺をムチ打ち、ただただオールで宴会しただけっすよね。苦肉の刑にしても本命の龍門らを逃したから成功したかって言われるとなんか微妙いし、このまま何の結果も出せなきゃ君ら政権内での立場ないの分かってるっすよ。
やりましょう。そうだ、やりましょう。今夜やりましょう。
よし。
So there are even civilians here? I mean, it makes sense. But this is going to be a battlefield.
田舎や思とったけど金沢もええとこですな。
やはり遅れてるみたいだ。
なんや長峰中隊はまだ来おへんのかいな。どんくさ。
待て、伝令兵は来てへんのか。
いえ、それがまだ。
おっさんに言うことないで。だいたいこの距離で何を伝えることがあんねん。そうやって裏でこそこそ動くことが長尾殿に失礼に当たるって分からへんのかな。
平大将、大風呂のご用意ができました。
おおきにおおきに。ほなともちゃんも一緒に入ろか。
はい。
I do wonder if they maybe try to poison them this time.
お着替えを持ってまいりました。あとは私が引き続き外の
I see.
なんで司書府の補佐がこんな雑用係してんねん。今そんな風に思ってはりました。
平大将の命令が。
さすがです。察しがお早い。殿次様は平内務卿に似てごっつ繊細なお方。こういう重要な役目は常に私が担当させてもらってます。すいません、腕を上に。ぶっちゃけ私はここまでせんでもええんちゃうかって思ってます。せやけどこれも己の保身のため。もう下げてもろてもええですよ。我が国では肌が黄色やないもんが養殖につくなんてむっちゃ大変なことなんです。ほんまに申し訳ない思てますが、私も私で食わせなあかん大切な家族がおりますので。
せやけどそれをあのガキにつけ込まれての目下の状況やろ。まあ、あのガキにつけ込まれたんは私も同じか。私にも大切な家族がおる。先月4人目の子供も生まれた。
おお、それはめでたい。
いざは常、常はいざなり。お互い足元救われんように。
この野襲では原則として銃や火矢の使用を禁じる。
Really? Why are you not trying to poison them? I mean, poisoning Sugo seems difficult, sure. But you could poison most of the other ones, right? Trying to do it this way? It's a pretty big risk. Especially if you're inside the city. I mean, that's not going to work, is it?
そして何より向こうの民を巻き込まねえためっす。見張りを殺した後、一斉に野襲をかける。
巡回兵から報告です。鼓門付近で不審な男を発見し、追跡を試みるも見失ったとのこと。指示を仰ぎたく。
カズとミナリは？
カズは1名。ミナリは整髪していないボサボサの長髪。服装は薄汚れた長襦袢だったそうで。
あの辺りは盗っ人も多い。ヤマトっぽいやつ以外は今は放っておけっす。ではこれよりヤマトの族どもを一掃する。
Should I know who they are talking about? I'm trying to remember. I don't feel any. Additionally, what about the guy we banished? That we had a lot of soldiers accompany? That supposedly was also done to prepare for something in the future? Maybe this is one of the people they saw?
全員心してかかれ。
Totally forgot about those guys.
今回の戦で俺がしたことはまだ鞭打たれて宴会しただけ。前のクーデターだって守備のざるい武功を襲っただけ。輪島総帥や兵軍師がすげえ戦略を練り、アテルイさんがやべえ武力で圧倒する中、俺一人だけ達成ことしてらんねっすよ。
You know what would be good if you just follow the command? You have people that make the plans. You have someone who is able to win militarily with strength, and your job is to just follow the plan. Just follow what she's telling you. That is the best you can do, right?
ねっすよ。輪島総帥、報告楽しみにしててください。今夜こそ誠意の男としてなすべきことをなしますから。
今さっき人影が。いや、わからへん。気のせいかも。
なんやそれ。ちょい見てくるわ。
Man, if I could read that, right?
よし、菅生さんならもうちょいきつく縛った方がええかな。縄はブチ切りそうやし。
超人ちゃうね。
しかし加賀省併合も無事終わりそうで安心しましたわ。
いや、金沢にはまだ私らしか到着してへん。もしそれが誠意の策略やとしたら。
ほんま、菅生宇宙城は疑い深いお人ですな。もし殺すつもりなら昨日の宴会でやってますって。
誰か入ってきた。
ああ、先ほどの万平でしょう。まったく呼び鈴鳴らせ言うたのに。ちょっと叱りつけてきますわ。
2、3、4。さっきの万平より数が多い。まさか。
あ
かん。
Did you not kill him? The other guys you instantly killed, but this one not? Okay.
菅生宇宙城、お命ちょうだいいたす。
Man, if you just had a gun, just one, you know, because he clearly is the biggest threat you have. The child you can just, he's not a problem. This guy is the biggest problem. And for him, you should have, at least you should have someone with a backup gun. And be like, you don't use a gun unless absolutely necessary. By the way, how about spears? Spears are also very good. On the other hand, I don't know if Japan was using spears. Maybe they didn't.
ただの正中線上を走る人脈の経血をついた、いわゆる溝落ちと呼ばれとる場所や。ほっとけば呼吸困難でこいつは死ぬ。今すぐ医者を呼びに行くか、こいつと共に浮世とさいならするか、選べ。
状況が分かってないみたいだな。死ぬのはあんただよ。
I was wondering if he's going to use one of those attacks to free himself. Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. They had someone with a gun as a backup. Solid.
報告、一番長の任務完了いたしました。
いいっすね。やっぱ俺の部下は仕事が早いっすね。よし、じゃあ次は3分の1を処理に当たらせ、残りは2番長、3番長の火星へ。
銃声
Okay. If I hear a gunshot, I would send all my people there. Through cleanup. Oh, the long haired.
平大師匠。
話が違いますやん、父上。
I mean, I'm still pretty sure his father's just using him as a shield. If he succeeds, good enough. It's going to be positive for him. He can have him as a son, depending on how he develops. He's too young to decide right now. He can always make a new one. Should he die, that gives him more leeway to get rid of Ryumon. So either way, it is going to be a win-win for the dad.
金沢では何も起こらへんって、そう言うてはりましたやん。
気持ちは痛いほどわかるが、今は無駄打ちすな。
私の宿の衛兵は私を逃がすために戦って死んだ。タマちゃんも死んだ。みんな私が信頼しとる数少ない者たちや。むっちゃ仲間がおるお前に何がわかんねん。殺すぞ。
I mean, quite frankly, that would be the stupidest idea he could have. The only person that is on his side, at least a little bit, you don't want to kill. I mean, you may not see eye to eye, you may be on different spectrums of your government or whatever, but you are the only ones that are against, say. So freeing him is the only reasonable choice here. And hope that he's going to be able to defeat, say, or at least keep them busy enough so you can escape. Right?
私を殺してその後どうする？そんな傷を負った奴が精鋭兵がぎょうさんおるこの宿屋街から一人で抜け出せると思うか？抜け出せたとして3万余りの大和兵は各兵舎に分散させられとる。そいつら全員をまとめ指揮し国に戻れる自信はあるか？今想像して未来が見えたなら構わず私を殺せ。
数々の非礼を詫びる。こたびの一件は菅生宇宙城の助言を無視し金沢に軍を進めた私に全責任がある。これ以上砂鉄をきたし後世に汚名を残すことは私も望まへん。それに大和に帰還して父上に問わなあかんこともある。
Words are cheap, right? Because he can say a lot of stuff, he can take it back later. However, I mean, he's a child, he's pretty young. He may be able to understand that he was just used by his dad and may become somewhat of an asset to the rest of
どうか か私に力を貸してほしい。
さっきの借りを返す。誠意の増援が来る前にここから脱出するで。
頼む。
脱走した2名はこの辺りにいるはずだ。必ず探し出せ。味方は多い方がええと思ったが、生き残ったのは私らだけか。先を進むで。
It feels like it is going to end with them meeting the guy that is in command, right? The self-whip guy. But the question now is, are we going to try to get the soldiers? Are we trying to find where they are and get, like, partially at least some of the soldiers, get them all round up? Because sure, you could then decide to fight for the castle or retreat. I feel like retreating is the best option right now. Or are we just going to run away alone?
すごい宇宙城。あんたも腹に傷を負ってはる。少し休んだ方がええ。
こんな傷、戦では左半じゃ。嫁のビンタの方がひどい。
まさかお二人が協力するなんて俺もさすがに予想できなかったっす。で、今のは奥さんのビンタより痛かったっすか。
長尾、ムートン。
I still don't believe they're going to die. Again, we also have the person they were talking about. They assumed is a thief. They did say if that was not a person from Yamato, we can ignore them. Maybe they are an anti-dictatorship group. You know, a rebel group that is trying to reinstate the old way instead of following the new dictator. Maybe they rallied together and are now going to try and work together with Yamato to reinstate their old government.
悪く思わないでくださいね。こっちにも事情がありますんで。
わっぜ、こう焦ったの。長尾、ムートン。
Or is it a certain nation? Finally. Don't believe so, but.
言ってこれ心臓やられてないっすか。マジできついんすけど。輪島総帥、俺しくじったみたいっす。嫌われちゃったな俺。
おやっとさ、ゴー。
Left Lieutenant General Shiryo Nagamima.
なんでここに？
各軍師の指示でな。今はそげな話は後じゃ。
Man, if I were able to remember names, right? So it is one of our guys. I'm assuming he's not alone. He most likely has like a little elite force, hopefully.
すぐ西側に向こうと。
西側。
河川敷に部隊を潜伏させとる。軍医もおる。金沢におる大和兵はわしに任しとけ。生きて大和に戻るぞ。二人とも決まれ。
左中将長峰資料は潜伏させていた部隊を率いて 精兵を一掃。金沢に駐屯していた大和軍をまとめ、宇宙城菅生剛、大師匠平殿次らと共に龍門らを助けるべく福井へ向け軍を引き返す。
Okay. I'm trying to remember. We had Sugo and the bread and 30,000 soldiers go in front. We had Ryumon behind, and there was someone else. I'm assuming this guy. And I believe we had like 1,000 people. So before his group did not go back like Ryumon did. But he got the command from Ryumon to hide in case something goes wrong, which, I mean, not in case, but when something goes wrong, they are going to be able to interfere. Okay. Still, there was the group, the banishment group, right? I don't believe he's the guy that got banished, right? So what is with those guys?
金沢では兵士合わせ104名が討ち死に、征夷側も多くの主力が命を落とすこととなった。こうして長尾ムートンが画策した金沢野襲は幕を閉じたのである。
あの偉人どもは宣戦布告漏らしに戦争を起こしてんねん。領土を侵略した偉人の国が何としてでも攻め滅ぼさにあきまへん。
Okay, so this is Yamato talking about Sei, I guess. The funny part is that before it was clear which nation this was, it could have been both nations. They both could have just said the other part, the other nation is the barbarians, right? Now, our main character did say that there's a reason they got left behind. I wonder if that is going to play a role now. It seems like there is public pressure to intercept the Sei army. So maybe that is what the commander wanted these guys here for.
物騒。もう都内でも戦争ムード一色かいな。せやけどもし私が従軍してたら今頃つねちゃんさんコールが響いてたんちゃうかなあミスミ君。
じゃけど征夷軍の侵攻からまだいつか。
Most likely, would information spread that quick? Probably not, right? Especially the information would spread, they would need to certify the information. So this may have already been disseminated by Ryumon. Ryumon? Whatever. That is most likely what he's going to think about. Again, I'm assuming that this whole outcry is for them to use to get together an army that they are going to lead.
この七さん私を無視しよった。
なぜこんなにも早く戦局の話が広まり、G 運動が盛んになっとるのか。どうもわしには腑に落ちません。
つまりこのデモは誰かによって扇動されたもんやと？
おそらく戦争によって利を得ようとする者による企てでしょう。理論的には機内におる大軍を動かせられれば征夷の首都を陥落させることは可能。
ミスミ君、そんな大軍を動かせる感触についとるもん一人しかおらへんて。
可能性は十分。
So he's clearly stating, hey, someone is behind the protest and stuff. And they assume it is the Fatso. That's his name. Because we should not forget the whole reason the board last time did not send a request for reinforcements was because he feared this is what would happen. He would rally a big army, he would crush the Sei army, and therefore he would be able to have more influence and oust Ryumon. Ryumon. So that he is alone and he has all the power. Which again makes me believe that he may have had an agreement with Sei. Right? This way he would have the information. Maybe they got together. He put the plan together of sending the soldiers and telling them they should just keep them inside that fort as long as possible. Meanwhile, they could take the northern part of not Kyoto, but their nation, the northern part of Blue, and he would maybe get a kickback or whatever. I don't know what his part of the agreement is, but it feels like he more or less had a deal with Sei.
考えられるかと。征夷併合が平内務卿の武力行使によってなされるか。せやけど、龍門辺境将軍や各軍師はそれを天下太平のためとは無論思わへんやろうな。ほうでしょうね。
I mean, luckily they are gone, right? And if everything had worked out like they wanted, they would be inside the fort.
天下にカエルの子はカエルとなるわ。焚き火にかしてどんどん殺し死を決する鍵となる。
ちとよう思い出しました。はあ、常地さん、せっかく飯誘ってもろてんのに申し訳ない。また今度。どこ行くねん、ミスミくん。ミスミくん。
Okay. He had an epiphany. Everything came together, which God, they always have the credits. Okay. So the strategist was the one that told him the little saying, and it now made sense. It feels like that the strategist assumes this is how it is going to play out, and more or less telling Misumi that he should use this time for something specific. I don't know. I still feel like he's going to rally the army behind him and his friend. His friend seems to be like a commander, right? He seems to be someone who's commanding a group of people as a general or something like that. Meanwhile, Misumi is more or less similar to the strategist behind the scenes. So it feels like they are going to use the pressure to rally an army to reinforce Ryomon. And together they are going to defeat Sei before Taira can attack. Now, the idea is, or what they were saying, that Taira Fetzo could use it to annex all of Sei, or at least a large chunk. But again, there's still a certain nation, and I feel like the certain nation is going to step in first. It would just make sense, instead of having Yamato take over like 2/3 of the country of old Japan, and therefore being in a dominant position to push out the third faction, that the third faction would come in and try to level the playing field, maybe support Sei a little bit so Yamato is not too strong, maybe take over some of Sei. We don't really know much about them. We don't know what their position is, what their industry is like, or resource-wise, how they look, army-wise, how they look. Because if they are not, taking over another country has a lot of cost. Because you need people, you most likely need soldiers in that country to occupy, to stamp out rebellions and stuff. So it cost a lot of manpower to maintain that land for quite some time before it calms down. Maybe the third nation is unwilling to do that. Maybe they don't have the capacity, they don't want to deal with that, they're fine the way they are. And in that case, it would make more sense for them to go and support, say, in the fight, weaken Yamato, and try to get them to have something of a status quo, where neither side is too strong. Meanwhile, they can just relax. That may be the case, I don't remember exactly. But I feel like most of the conflicts we saw are between Yamato and Sei. Which means the third nation is just chilling, is building up its forces, its military, economic, and is just waiting for the right time to strike. So either they are ready and they're going to take over Sei, or they're not ready and they're going to support Sei so that they can fight off, or at least end in a status quo with Yamato, and they can still fight each other so the third nation can just do what they are doing right now.